Hello and welcome to another Tech Campus Coffee Live webinar. This is an opportunity for you to learn about career paths at Tech directly from professionals in your field.
We'll be speaking to technical representatives from a variety of fields at Tech, and they'll share why they enjoy what they do.
Participants also have a chance to directly ask speakers and recruiters questions and get a good understanding of why Tech is a great place to work, as well as where your strengths, talents, and learning opportunities lie. All right, great. Let's introduce our guest presenters. So we have Ruby Yan. She's a senior project engineer from Line Creek Operations. And our other guest speaker is Patrick Mavety. And let's get the slide up here. Yeah, so he's a mining EIT at our Highland Valley Copper operation right outside of Kamloops. Maybe we'll start off with Ruby. Maybe can you describe, well, maybe tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at Tech.
Yeah, for sure. You guys can hear me okay?
Yes.
So my background is mining engineering, and I grew up in Vancouver, went to UBC to get my mining degree there. And since graduating, I've worked at gold mines, copper mines. I had probably work term underground. And then the longest stint has actually been with Tech. This is my 10th year with the coal business unit, where we mine metallurgical coal. And throughout my experience, I've had experience doing short range planning. So 4 years in that involved planning shovels and drill where we're going to mine, where we're going to move the material, where we're going to place the dump. Then I spent a year or so in long range designing pits, dumps, did some long range planning. And I've been supporting some of the geotech programs that we have at site, with whether it's installing instrumentation. I've also had some tailings involvement, building tailings dams, and I've also did some permitting in my career too. Probably completed 2 permitting projects, a pit expansion, and recently at Line Creek. I work at Line Creek right now, one of the coal mines in the valley, just outside of Sparwood. We did permitting a tailing structure, so we did that, and supporting a lot of the projects at site. And then a few years ago, there was a need to have more project support for our expansion. So I kind of transfer over with the skill set I've developed in mining to help start up other mining projects. So I've been doing projects probably the last five or 6 years. And that vary from a wide range of stuff. Like I've installed bridge, installing fuel stations, not my area of expertise, or power projects. And then when we need contractors to come in and mine the bottom of the pit near the completion, because it's trickier, it's tighter. I ran a project with my own sort of contracting crew, and we mined there for a year. And also starting up projects at the top of mountains. So I would be asked to help develop those areas too. So some of these development projects. And recently, right now, I'm expanding Line Creek's tailings storage facility. And that involves my own little sort of project team with a permitting group, working with First Nations, very closely, having meetings with them, working with permitting and the regulators, geotech consultants, and reclamation group to understand how we're going to reclaim some of our tailings facilities, the plant, working with the plant closely as well. And then there are other side projects like dust suppression and geotech sort of rock wall mitigation projects. So that's sort of what I've been working at. And with Tech, I actually started my very first co-op job was at Highland Valley Copper as an environment student a long time ago. And then I had an opportunity to work at a couple of different companies. And in 2011, actually, it was Stacy reached out to me and like hired me for Quintet, which is a mine we were starting up in Northeast BC by Tumbler Ridge. And I worked there for probably 6 months before they sent me down to Fording River, which is near Elksford, for some training. And I ended up staying there for 4 years. And then after that, there was an opportunity at Line Creek. So I've been at Line Creek since 2017. Yeah.
So what do you do with all your spare time, Ruby?
So much spare time.
Keep
So,
you busy.
well, I actually have 2 kids, and born and raised in Fernie area, so I spend a lot of time with them. We do a lot of biking and skiing as a family, which is not something I actually grew up with from the city. I actually never learned to ride a bike. Don't judge me, till I was probably 12. Didn't really do very much skiing, but just living in Fernie, the ski hill's 5 minutes away. The trail is probably a block from my house. So my kids were biking since they were 4 years old and skiing when they're 3. So we do a lot of that. Camping, we started rafting a lot. There's a lot of lakes and rivers in this area. So we've been rafting down the Kootenay and just camping there. Lots of outdoor activities in winter and summer, actually.
Awesome. No, it's true. I sort of joke about it too, but it's, yeah, even though you are super busy at work, we still have that time to have the fun on your off time, which is nice with the work-life balance.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for that, Ruby. And then should we pass it over to Patrick? Patrick, do you want to give an intro as well in terms of what you're doing now and sort of your path to how you got here?
Sure. Yeah, I can do that. So I can probably answer some more questions also afterwards for any co-op related questions. Most of my career so far has been with tech. So I've been at Highland Valley Copper for the past 4 years. I graduated from UBC in 2017 from the mining program there. But while I was in school, though, I did all my co-op terms with tech. So I did 2 years of co-op with tech. I did a term down in Vancouver for 8 months. I did a term in Fording out in Cole for 8 months, and then also a term in Highland Valley here for 8 months. So got lots of exposure to different tech operations and different sites right off the get-go there, and then got hired back by Highland Valley. And then since I've been here, I got hired back in a dispatch engineer role. So in dispatch engineering, that's predominantly around the data management side and running your fleet management systems. So at site here, we run Wanko, and it's basically looking at all those systems, working with your dispatchers and trying to work on productivities and efficiencies and really seeing that close link with operations. And then since then, we've been good about getting our EITs rotating through different roles. So I had a stint working with drill and blast, just kind of seeing how patterns are designed and working on that planning side. And then at that point is when I shifted into the mine planning world. So I started off in medium-term mine planning. At our site here, we have 3 different horizons of planning. We've got short-term planning, mid-term planning, and long-term planning. So in mid-term planning, you're focusing more on projects and dump development, reclamation, a bunch of those different type of projects. And then really you're looking at the mine sequence from kind of 1 month out to the end of the year. You're developing budgets, you're making forecasts, you're getting exposure there to all different types of people, kind of site management, site leadership, and those type of jobs. And then since then, I came into short range planning, and I've been doing short range planning here for the past year and a bit. And at Highland Valley Copper, it's short range planning is kind of a culmination of your EIT rotation there. So you do a lot of your other skills that you work on, you end with short range planning to try and apply all those to making your kind of 1 week to 1 month plan for what's going to happen with the mine here. And like Ruby said, with short range mine planning, it's working with a lot of different groups. So you're kind of working on building a maintenance plan for the week. You're working on building the drill and blast plan for the week, your shovel sequences, your dump sequences. And at Highland Valley, we definitely have a lot of different challenges that we work on here. So We're a big operation. We got seven shovels that we're operating off of, 52 cat haul trucks that we run, and 6 drills. So as a short range planner, you're kind of juggling all that through 3 different pits, and with ore and waste and marginal material types. It's definitely a challenging and rewarding role, though, when people come to you and ask a lot of different type of questions.
And what about you? What do you do for fun when you're in? Are you living in the Kamloops area?
Yeah, so a lot of people from Highland Valley, they rather live in Logan Lake, Kamloops, or Ashcroft, but I'm in Kamloops. I'm from Vancouver originally, and Kamloops is kind of a bigger city out here. So Kamloops is a great city, actually. It's almost 100,000 people, and they've got a lot to offer here. It's pretty similar to what Ruby does in her off time. I just took up mountain biking this year for the first time. Being from Vancouver, I didn't do that too much, so I've been doing that most of the summer. And then come winter time, cross country skiing is one of the big one. I like to get into. Sun Peaks is super close to us. There's another kind of like 60-kilometer trail network just about 20 minutes outside of town. So there's lots of opportunities for all that out here. And then camping, hiking, paddle boarding, lots of lakes. You're right by the Okanagan. It's a quick trip also out to the Rockies for the weekend or anything like that. So basically, yeah, anything outdoors. And then you also have all the big city amenities here as well. So yeah, Kamloops is a great work-life balance.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, we can talk about it until we're blue in the face in terms of, our selling features, but it's pretty easy sell when we talk about the types of locations that our operations are based in. And we get to have a lot of fun when we're not at work too. So it draws a lot of people to the company in that respect, just having that work-life balance and the ability to do all these fun things in the mountains and wherever we live. So yeah, cool. Great. And I just want to remind everybody that feel free, if you have any questions specifically, I've got lots of questions. I can keep these guys talking the whole time, but obviously it's for the students. And if you have anything specific you want to know, we're more than happy to answer those questions along the way. And I'll just pepper in my questions if we have a bit of a lull in the questions. And we do have one in the chat here now. So a third-year mining engineering student at Queen's, and they're planning to start an internship in May. Ideally at Tech. I like this little pitch, Sean. And I was wondering if there were any skills that they could work on developing the next 6 months to help his application stand out. So I guess, do you guys have any sort of words of advice for someone like Sean who's looking to get into tech or a company like ours? And what sort of areas do they focus in, or something highlight even on their resume that would make them valuable to us? I got lots of opinions here, but if you guys want to maybe talk a little bit about your experience in transitioning into a co-op, what sort of skill sets do you think would be useful? Patrick, do you want to go?
Yeah, I can start with this. Since I was a co-op kind of 4 years ago, I know what helps get you hired afterwards. And the big one for me, like what we lean on our co-ops a lot for, is the data management side. A lot of the times, kind of the co-ops are the most energetic and the most willing to work on some of these data analytics type jobs. And at Highland Valley, we have we're also kind of rolling out a bunch of different initiatives. So we've got autonomous haul trucks at Highland Valley, and we've got Shovel Sense, which is an ore sorting system on the shovel buckets, which allows you to determine kind of real-time grades of what's being sent out. So when we're looking for co-ops, we're looking for ones who are quick learners, able to adapt to new technologies, kind of show that you've worked on projects where you kind of worked on a new technology or worked on some sort of emerging issue, and you're able to think of creative solutions. Because a lot of the time with these technologies, we're one of the first sites trying them out, or it's just being implemented in our site for the first time. So we're really setting up these processes to incorporate them into our maintenance schedules, to incorporate them into our mine plans and everything like that. So showing that you have kind of that creative out of the box thinking and originality is really one of the things that makes you stand out when we're looking for co-ops.
That's
yeah,
great.
and yeah, just very little to add to what Patrick has already touched on. Like, if you really want to work on a skill set, like you can see on paper, like I know a lot of positions would use, Excel as a tool, and that's not too challenging to just even learn on your own online, YouTube or something like that. There's a lot of free courses out there. Another thing I would recommend highlighting is just like versatility, like your experience in doing different things. That will indicate that this person is, adaptable, flexible, and probably curious. And one note that I noticed people have mentioned in the past is that they look at is, your past time. Don't forget to mention some of that in your application. That highlights and shows, what kind of things you like to do, and just your personality a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like we talk a lot about the lifestyle and people who tend to be really successful here. Sort of, it doesn't have to be a deal breaker by any stretch, but if we can see that, hey, this could be a really good fit for someone if they're into skiing, they're into mountain biking. Like lots of us learned it since we moved here, but if it's something you're already interested in, definitely highlight on your application. It's always nice to see that because then you can really see like, oh yeah, this could be a really good long-term fit potentially for a person like that who's keen on those options. Yeah, and you guys both touched on that. And something I always recommend is we're seeing so many technology projects, and we sort of, if anyone's looked at our postings or looked at some of our just the detail on our website, Race 21 is a big part of the business. It's our technology transformation. And so there's technology projects rolling out in all the different departments across tech, whether you're in mechanical engineering, mining engineering, or lots of different areas. So having that understanding about technology, or even having a little programming under your belt never hurts. Like inevitably, we usually just sort of utilize the skill sets that the students come to us with as well. So if you have a unique skill set that you're coming with, and we'll be like, oh, you know what, we could actually use someone who could do a little programming and do some analytics with this particular data or whatever it is. Boy, it's super useful. So if you got any little skills that in your pocket, make sure you highlight them, or if you want to brush up on them before you come here, certainly it becomes very valuable to the team. Great. And I guess speaking on the technology front, I know, Patrick, I know you highlighted a little bit about like shovel sense and different things that we have going on at HVC. Is there any technology or anything on the horizon that you guys see coming on the wire that makes you particularly excited about the next few years at Tech, in terms of maybe like a technology that we're rolling out or initiative you see happening across the business? And maybe talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I probably just glanced over it on those comments there, and it's a pretty big project, our autonomous haulage. It's
Yeah.
So we run right now, we have 3 pits, Valley, Lornex, and Highmont at our site, and our whole Lornex pit is just waste for the time being. So we're stripping waste until we can get down to the ore, deeper down in the pit. And we've been running an autonomous trial up there. So we started with just about 6 autonomous trucks, and this was in 2019. We had 6 trucks and 1 shovel running, just kind of in its own segregated area, to get a feeling for how that system would roll out in hard rock mining, because autonomous trucks have been running in oil sands and over in Australia for a while now, but we haven't had much experience yet in BC with hard rock mines, because hard rock mines have a completely different set of challenges with the way our pits drop down, our defined road widths, and just our switchbacks and everything like that in a deep hard rock mine. So that's been one that slowly progressed. So like I said, we started with 6 trucks, and now we're up to basically a fleet of 20, anywhere from 22 to 25 autonomous trucks, with 3 production shovels still running in our Lornex West pit. So that's one that, as of now, it's about half of our fleet is running over there, but it's just going to keep expanding. So it's eventually going to start moving into ore, and that's going to happen in the new year in 2022. And we start seeing a bunch of new challenges with the trucks delivering ore to crushers as opposed to just to waste dumps. So that's going to be one for the next kind of couple of years here that we're really looking to see how that's going to progress. And I know Tech's looking at other sites to keep rolling that out too. So that's definitely one of the more exciting ones.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. I had a chance to tour the autonomous pit, and if anyone's been on a call before, I get really excited about this stuff because at our Elkview operations here, I'm like, this is so cool. So anyway, yeah, it's a pretty neat, and yeah, we're rolling out at our coal operation, or Elkview at this point anyway too, which is kind of neat. Ruby, hopefully Patrick has instilled your thunder. Is there a technology that you're particularly interested in, or think that's exciting for you?
One of the technologies that I really I utilize a lot, we started at Line Creek, is the drone. The use of our drone technology. We have one of probably like the most industrial sized drones at Line Creek, and I think the other sites in the BU have been using it too. And they're very robust. They capture images and videos, and it also allows us to inspect the walls and areas that are not safe. even better because we can look up close to it by using a drone. And after a blast, the gases, we can just fly the drone around, and even areas where we need to do some planning for mining, like a new area, and we don't have an access road to get up there. Like I use the drone to fly that area, and then I can plan my routes with the image because it's like a 3D image now. So that's a tool that I use probably every day. We get these drone flights for our tailing structures, recognizing spills or concerns, instabilities. Yeah.
Super cool. Great. Thanks, guys. All right. And then I know, Ruby, you've supervised lots of co-ops over the years in your various roles that you've had. So maybe, I'll get Patrick's take on what his experience was like, but maybe if you could speak to co-ops with us, what kind of experience did they get? Are they getting in the field? Like how much of their time would they be in the field? And I guess if you could give us an example of sort of projects they'd work on. And I know we have Brandon in the call too, that maybe we'll call on him to offer his 2 cents. But if I could start with you, Ruby, and tell me a little bit about what co-ops are doing at Cole.
Yeah, for sure. We're very lucky to have co-ops. And some of like the co-ops with mine, it depends, I guess, your experience and the role that you get as a co-op. But a lot of the mining ones, we have them like really work as almost like an EIT role. They're exposed, like we train them up in surveying, and if they're comfortable with that and they're eager to learn something else, you can transition to drill and blasting like as a technician role. And there are times when once they're more comfortable, we need support in short range planning. There's a couple, there's co-op students who stepped into that role, helping us plan the shovel and drill moves. We've had, I have a co-op that's helping with geotech support, doing weekly inspections for us and developing plans for the operations group. And I've also had a co-op in my projects. He's actually a finance co-op, and he ended up helping me track all my materials movement and my costs and the production numbers, and running some of the meetings for me when I'm away. So there's a vast sort of like opportunity, as depends how interested and curious the individual is. And as for working in the field, like some of the co-ops would work in the field probably 80% of the time. And I think you can work in the field depending on the role, like as much or as like little as you want, although I would like to advocate that it's probably best to like immerse yourself in operations and try to pick up as much as you can in the field at the beginning of your career.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and some of our co-ops are kind of unique in that they'll, and I know there's a question in the chat from one of our current students now who works in a different area, like more like water quality side of things. So there's certainly lots of quite a variety of roles, but yeah, I think as a general rule of thumb, I always tell people at least 50% of your time is going to be in the field. And I, like you said, I recommend get in there as early and as much as you can. It's a great time to learn for sure. Great. How about you, Patrick? Want to talk to us a little bit about what you did as a co-op in terms of what type of field experience you got, and then if you see any co-ops of late that maybe get in the field a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. So I definitely got more field experience when I was out in Cole versus when I was at Highland Valley here. But out in Cole, you get the opportunity to kind of go out with operations personnel. You ran payload studies, things like that, where you would kind of basically be right out in the field managing a project. So we had more of those, but a lot of my experience was on the data management side, and I'm a huge proponent of that. And when I've supervised co-ops here, I've also kind of always recommended that for them. It's the skill that, in my mind, got me hired back here. So that's why I think it is really good for people to learn that one. It's the way the industry is going these days, especially from the mine planning side and the mine engineering side. It's being able to know where your data is, how to use it, and how to present it to people. So really, that's what our co-ops have been focusing on here. And Brendan can give more comments when he talks. He works with me really closely, so I'm sure he'll have glowing things to say about Highland Valley. But
Obviously, and his supervisor.
yeah, oh, I'm sure he'll have the best things to say for that. But yeah, really with our co-ops and when I've worked with them in the past, like we're really using them to set up our data systems and kind of do data quality checks, do data analysis as much as really anyone in the department asks for. So guys from operations will just come over and start asking questions, and the co-ops are the first ones who get to try and work on those solutions. And we try and give our co-ops really as much freedom as we can to find a good solution. So we've given our co-ops, I think, quite a bit of freedom in the past on that side. So it's definitely a great opportunity. And to what Ruby said, like really it's what you make of it a lot of the time. So if you're interested in it and you really try and put your skills toward it and trying to learn that type of skill set, it's something that is going to stick with you for the rest of your life and your career.
That's great. Well, yeah, without further ado, we should bring Brendan into the mix here and see what he has to really say. Brendan, if you want to share, do you want to share a little bit about your experience and what kind of fun things you got to do working for Patrick? No pressure.
Sure. Well, I'm Brendan, so I'm the HVC co-op student, again, mining engineer, and I started in May, so just over 4 months now. Yeah, as Pat said, I work closely with him, doing some of the helping him with some of the short range planning stuff, which is pretty cool to get exposure to. And then I also work closely with our dispatch engineer on all that data management, data reporting side of things. Like I really didn't have a lot of programming exposure at all in university when I came here, and like I've spent a lot of time in VBA and SQL, and I'm planning to learn Python shortly and help out our dispatch engineer with some of that. And yeah, no, it's been really good. It's been I've definitely learned a lot and really improved my skill set from like all the data management and data presentation stuff.
Awesome. Great. I know we do evaluations with all our students as they leave, and I'm sure, Patrick, maybe you remember doing them probably for your experience as well. We do them with the student, we do them with the hiring manager, but the students often say, I think it's the most common feedback we get is, I can't believe how much responsibility I was given as a co-op with tech. So they're not just like, just getting coffee or whatever. Ruby, I hope you don't make people get coffee for you. but they truly are really, like Brendan had said, and like you had said, sort of talked about too, is we're giving them really valuable experience, which is really neat and makes it fun as a recruiter to hire people into that as well, and know that they're getting this really cool, unique experience with us that you're not always going to get in other companies. So it makes it pretty fun and interesting for the students for sure. I know we have a couple other questions in the chat, Masaki, but do you want to do the trivia and then come back to them? How do you want to?
Yeah, maybe I'll just get one question. We'll get Natalie to queue up the trivia in a second. But so
Okay.
Jaceel, so along the lines, Jaceel did ask about. So she's one of our current co-op students, and she's asking what programming or technological skills that could aid in mine planning and geological engineering area. What do you have any suggestions, Ruby or Patrick?
Like Python seems to be pretty common here.
True. Sorry. Yeah, you just mentioned that.
I'm more removed from mining per se now because I'm in projects, but like I wouldn't say we necessarily need a certain skill set to get the job. We do a lot of training at tech and on the job. So it is nice to have some programming or some, Power BI perhaps or Excel skills, but I don't think that's the only thing that we look at. Maybe Patrick can touch on more of the programming stuff.
Yeah, like even when I started with tech as a co-op, I didn't have any SQL or VBA or Python experience, but it's one of the things like we like to see. So I guess those are the three, like VBA, Python, SQL, and Power BI. Those are all useful skills that you would learn when you're working with us, and you definitely get immersed in when you're working here. But really any type of skills around that just kind of shows that you're able to think in that mindset and you're able to learn those skills down the road. So even when Brendan started here, like, yeah, he didn't have that kind of experience, but he showed an interest in it and was able to pick it up. And we try and give him time at the beginning to really be able to learn it all. And since he picked it up quickly, it's kind of a feedback loop where he picks it up quickly, he gets given more projects and more challenging projects, and you learn more skills that you didn't previously. So it's definitely kind of just showing that you're able to pick up skills if you don't necessarily have the specific programming languages.
Yeah, and like programming is more like one aspect of mining. Like we have designing, and that's like 3D modeling. And so I was hiring someone, and a lot of people don't have a mine site or Vulcan necessarily experience. But if they said, oh, we've used 3D or AutoCAD, and if you're able to use that kind of software, those kind of skill sets can be transferable and adaptable to other software. So just some interest like that would help as well.
Yeah, for sure. Great. Thanks, guys.
Well, before we jump back to the questions in the chat, Stacy, do you want to talk a little bit about recruitment for those who potentially are looking for work?
Sure, I would love to. Yeah, so our postings are currently up on the tech website. So we have a bunch we're for co-op anyway. So we're hiring at least 50 co-ops. I'd imagine by the time it's all said and done and all my approvals are done, I'll probably have close to 60 within the coal business unit alone. I'm waiting for some to come through for our trail operations as well. And then HVC hopefully, and then likely there'll be some with our technology group as well. So for now, we definitely have a pile up there. So there's lots to sift through, but there's definitely some for mining engineering. We'll have quite a few positions for mining engineers within that batch. And so you can keep an eye on the tech website. We also post it through co-op offices as well, but in case you just need easy access, it's just quickly go to tech.com/careers. Or the student landing page as well. It's also useful. And I sort of alluded to this earlier, but this is some of the quotes that we took from some evaluations from our students that just left us this past like a month ago, and talked a little bit about their experience and the kind of what they liked about working at tech. So it gives you sort of an indication. Again, I could talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but it means a lot more coming from a student that actually worked here and actually got the experience. I'm maybe just a little bit biased. But yeah, we hire lots of students, like I mentioned, over 200 across the business. So every 4 months we hire co-op students. So right now we're currently recruiting for our January term, and then in January we'll be recruiting for the May and likewise. So we'll keep going. Every 4 months we have an intake. So whether most of our positions are going to be 8 months, some of them are 12 months, and we can potentially look at 16 months at times as well. So that's the options. There's not a whole lot of 4-month opportunities, so I will warn you about that. And only because I'm sure everyone can speak to this and agree that it's a big learning curve. So it takes a little time to get your feet wet, to really get an understanding and really get that learning to that next level where you really understand what it means to work as a mining engineer at tech. So 4 months is a pretty quick turnaround. So we tend to lean towards the 8 to 12 to 16 month is our preference for sure as a business. Anything I'm forgetting there?
I think we're good. Yeah, so let's, so in the chat, Jalea, who I believe was second place in the trivia, has a question. She's a senior in mining, and she has a question about, what makes tech stand out in terms of what we offer for new grads?
Yeah, so a couple of those things that we sort of highlighted through our conversation that I'll just circle back to. One of them would be certainly that, someone like Ruby and Patrick even too, but Ruby in particular in that she's worked in several different operations, but she's never had to move. So you have access to a variety of operations, a variety of different positions, and it's all within your backyard. So if you did work for coal, that's definitely an asset. Obviously, Highland Valley Copper has got some really great opportunities in that in any of our operations, you could get involved in a variety of different areas. So whether you're in short range, mid range, long range planning, and there's lots to do at any operation. And then there's areas that focus more on technology implementation or the race team that works at our operations, rolling out technologies, and mining engineers do work in that field as well. So it's the variety, I guess. And then also we do have a rotation. It's relatively informal. I guess it's not super structured, but you can anticipate your rotation being as an EIT, likely every 18 months-ish, you should be moving into a different area to sort of get that variety of experience so that by the time you get to your PEng, which we're supporting you through to get you'll be a well-rounded engineer by then. So hopefully that. Anything else you want to add to that, Patrick? Maybe, or did I cover
No, I
most?
think that covered most of it. Yeah, really just being able to do, 4 or 5 different jobs and hone your skills, because this is the time you want to be learning as much as you can as right when you graduate. So being able to shift roles, pick up, see as much as you possibly can, that's what makes a good engineer down the line. So really, yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah, and I will let people know too, if they are looking for EIT positions, some companies have like structured set times where they hire EITs and new graduates. Tech doesn't necessarily do that all the time. So a lot of times it's as needed ongoing basis. So you can really set yourself up for job alerts on tech.com. And when, positions come up for EITs or mining engineers, and you can look and see if it's one that you qualify for, because it can come up at any given time. It might just be one person, EIT has moved from one area to another area, and that'll open up a new role for a new graduate position. So they just come in every so often. So just keep your eyes on the website. There's lots of jobs right now. So a job alert is definitely a good idea for that, just so you can sift through, because there's a lot of positions that we're very active in the recruitment side of things right now. We'll go to the next question.
Yeah, so we have a master's student who's asking, and almost Ruby is actually a perfect example of this, but does tech let its engineers change their roles?
Yeah, I could touch on that. Yeah, we are very open to helping the individual and each person to develop in the career path that they want to choose. And if you have any interest in a certain position or department or a site, tech has been super open into supporting that. We have people moving to like Highland Valley, or going to South America and work there, transitioning to Vancouver, or just with insights in the valley for development.
Great. Ruby, you disappeared on us there. I don't know if your camera might be off or something, but
yeah,
okay,
I am having some technical difficulties over here.
That's okay. We can still hear all your worldly wisdom, so that's good.
I just want to touch on like another positive about tech is like tech's investment on like the employees' well-being and safety. Like during COVID, like when we didn't have sanitizers and masks, like tech even made their own sanitizer to support the safety of its workers. They handed out masks for people to take home over the summer. Just the culture that we've developed here has just been like life-changing for myself, and changing the way we see safety at home. I think that's really important and to be aware of. And over the last year, tech has improved the mental wellness support for individuals, and lots of incredible benefits to if anyone needs to see someone or a professional, like there's a lot of support there.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's been really impressive. I mean, again, I know that we can always talk about it, but as an employee, it's easy to see how great the company is, but it's really neat to see how tech stepped up, and not only like donations outside of tech as well, and donating to like vaccine rollout and all those other areas too. And then, but to see like how they've upped their game in terms of our employee family assistance program, and really being having like online appointments available for employees if anyone ever needed some support. All of that was there provided by the company, which is really cool, and I think makes it really it makes you feel good about the company you work for sure.
And since the pandemic, tech is looking at flexible work schedules, and I know not every company is looking at that, which is unfortunate, but we're very lucky that tech is looking at that, and we're trialing some different work from home situations. So that's awesome. Like during the pandemic, like they set up my whole system at home, my monitors, my keyboards, if I needed my stand-up desk, I could have brought that home. So just pretty awesome support there.
Yeah, no, that's a great point to bring up for sure.
I've just been cognizant of time. So just to let you know, a few of us can stick around to answer remaining questions. I know there's one more in the chat. Before we do, just want to say thank you to our guest speakers. If I have to take off, it's now where we're at end of time. However, like I said, a couple of us will stick around. Thank you for all the students who are participating. And if you have more questions, feel free to fill out that chat. And the one thing I want to mention is we've posted, or Natalie's posted, the feedback form. And we really would appreciate if you could fill that out. It only takes about 30 seconds and it's really help us design future campus coffees geared towards students like yourselves to make sure we're providing value. So yeah, if you could fill that out, that would be very much appreciated. And regardless, we're going to spam you with that link afterwards too. So
Don't worry.
yeah, exactly. So the next question in here is a MN student from Laurentian, I guess mechanical engineering, and just wants to know, so this student has a background or taking courses on battery electric, mining equipment, mining machinery selection, risk management, and just wanting to know what kinds of positions potentially to apply to.
Okay.
I'm wondering, this is student positions or full-time positions?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's still it. Well, I can speak to both, I guess, but from a student position, yeah, if you're in the mechanical side of things, I would, yeah, definitely look. We have a couple different roles actually right now posted from a co-op perspective that they could apply for, and those would be listed as mechanical. We also have things like operational excellence, which is another really interesting role that we could sort of hire outside of. It could be mining, it could be mechanical, but it would be more on the heavy on sort of the analytics side of things. So depending where their interests are, but the operational excellence sort of spans all our departments and works and supports sort of looking for new solutions to old problems, I guess, within various different departments. So you could utilize really any discipline. So that's an area like a master's, if you're interested in that side of things, it could be really valuable. And then obviously our traditional mechanical engineering roles definitely would be out there and posted too. And that's the same thing I guess I would say for them for if it was a full-time role that you're looking for. You could keep an eye out for those operational excellence roles or anything from business improvement or traditional mechanical engineer or maintenance engineer role. And they certainly could work in those variety of areas.
All right, so it looks like we've gone through the questions in the chat. If there's any lingering questions or many questions, feel free to raise your hand or type in the chat now. And now is your chance. It could be less mining related. If it's more recruitment related as well, that's anything goes at this point.
I can pick my way through some of the mining stuff, but I'm not going to dazzle with my technical knowledge.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like, or it looks like we've answered everybody's questions, which is great. So just for students, so you know, we've got a couple more campus coffees coming up. Next week is geological engineering. So if you are interested in learning about geotechnical engineering, geological engineering, these types of opportunities at Tech, then please join or tell your friends. The following one after that, we have environmental. We're going to have some technology, and we're going to have some mechanical engineering. So for our most recent mechanical student, Hemang, feel free to join us then. That'll be in October. In the meantime, well, thanks for joining us. Oh, hang on, there's a question here. Sahithi, Laurentian Master's Mech student. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
It's okay without experience. So yeah, we always ask. I would always say never be deterred by, people a lot of times they'll put out in their postings the ideal, like, hey, if you had experience in A, B, and C, it would be amazing. But it's not a deal breaker. And for a lot of us, it's all about honestly the attitude, the willingness to learn, and really displaying that sort of genuine interest in the company. So we do a sort of a recruiting session at times as well, but maybe if we come across a tech session, definitely join it. But I could go talk about this for as long as the day is, but there's lots of things you could highlight on your resume to really show that you're keen to get out in the field, that you're interested in learning new skill sets, and highlighting the skills that you have that you can bring to the table. You don't have to have, not everybody I hire, guarantee you, not everyone I hire is coming with experience under their belt already. So it's certainly not a deal breaker for us.
yeah, perfect.
Yep, same thing for engineering training. If you have co-op experience under your belt, that's great. But certainly it's not a deal breaker. It's really highlighting where your interests are and what kind of skills you have coming to the table from an academic standpoint, and then highlighting even other experience. I always tell people too, like if you have maybe you worked at a summer camp or something as a summer job. If it wasn't in the field, it's still highlighting think about how those experiences you already gathered through life, through work or volunteer experience, that would make you an asset to a company, and then try and highlight that. So it makes it really easy for someone like myself to see, oh yeah, well, they love working outside, they're active in their community. And so, yeah, this might be a really good fit for a role that we have. So just highlighting all those things that may not seem like relevant experience. I always tell people any experience is good experience. So make sure you highlight that in your resume. That's my 2 cents.
All right,
Awesome.
that's a relief comment there. All right, great. Well, thank you everybody for attending once again. Yeah, please fill out the evaluation or the sort of feedback form so that we can create some new campus copies for you in the future that are relevant. But otherwise, thank you and stay safe, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.